All right, guys, here today I got my buddy Jamie with me. Jamie Parkins, good to see you, brother. Veritas Pest Inspections. So Jamie's in here to really, I think, pull some things out of the shadows, right? A lot of these. We're going to expose some truths here today with regard to what findings are in pest reports, certain things that people see that may come across as spooky, or they're like, what is this? Open a can of worms on things, right?
Yes.
And we see that a lot, especially on our end too, because we work very closely side to side with folks like Jamie. Through these processes, trying to get homes sold, and of course get them safe and healthy for people to want to buy them. All right, yep. And so that's the thing there. So, brother, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So, the biggest thing that I kind of hear from everybody on these are termite inspections on a condominium and why we're not fumigating.
Yes, we're literally going through that right now.
Okay, perfect. Mm-hmm. So, when we have a stick-built home, mm-hmm. the fumigation, if termites are found, fumigation is called.
Yes.
We can't do, as far as the state goes, we cannot do a local treatment on that home mm-hmm. and give them a clearance because we haven't gotten in behind the walls.
Sure.
So stick-built fumigation is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We hit a condo. Condo happens, we have termites, we call for a fumigation,
mm-hmm.
but we cannot do it.
Yes.
And why? We have attached walls, we have attached neighbors, tenants. They will not be able to fumigate that home mm-hmm. unless everybody's on board.
Yes.
And half the time you have tenants that are involved and they can't be out, or the owner doesn't want to pay for them to be out.
Sure.
For the timer.
Sure.
So what comes in lieu of that is a local treatment, which with an attached wall, the state allows us mm-hmm. to clear that unit.
Got it.
Even though we can't see behind the walls, we're still visible and accessible, we can clear it. So mm-hmm. lender will come in and say, oh, you have termites in this condominium, we call for fumigation. Everybody goes, oh, great, fumigation. But then we have this substandard secondary recommendation that comes across.
Ooh. That's a hot button right there. Let's say that again, because I want to say it 3 times fast. No, but one more time, let's say that for everybody at home.
So the secondary substandard recommendation, gotcha. That is your local treatment. Why is it substandard? Why is it secondary? Mm-hmm. Substandard mm-hmm. is because we're locally treating the areas, we're not getting in behind the walls with mm-hmm. the lethal gas, so we can only treat the accessible areas. Mm-hmm. Why is that allowed on a condominium? Because you have shared walls. Yes. So the state will recognize that as there's no way mm-hmm. that this can be done mm-hmm. with a secondary person in there. So we can come in, treat those areas, clear that area.
Gotcha.
Now, HOAs, a lot of the times, they'll have a plan. We're going to mm-hmm. fumigate within the next 6 months to a year. We're closing here in 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So what happens there? The lender's going to say, I need something now.
Sure.
So you're going to have to pay for that local treatment, mm-hmm. which can be $300 to $400. Mm-hmm. And then 6 months down the road, you're going to be paying for a fumigation.
Gotcha.
So what's going to be the difference? $300-400 local treatment, up to $1,000 to $1,100 for your fumigation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you're going to get a 3 to 5 year warranty. And you go to sell within that time, you're not going to have to worry about this.
Got it.
So that's the kind of the differences between the two. The secondary, don't get scared about that with verbiage. The verbiage is there per the state recommendations.
Sure.
We have to follow that. Mm-hmm. It's not
mm-hmm.
an eradication; it's a control.
Correct.
So that is the difference with the two. That's why we call it. As far as the state mandates us, we mm-hmm. have to call for the eradication. Okay. We cannot call just for a local treatment and that be it. Mm-hmm. It has to be an eradication on a sale.
Yes.
So, and that is partially because of the state and mm-hmm. the real estate.
Correct.
Real estate came to California Structural Pest Control Board and said, hey, we need these things sectioned so we can close. We know what's important. Our part is mm-hmm. to make that for you guys and hopefully make our reports where everybody can kind of understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we run into this a lot. I mean, Jamie and I were talking about it earlier. We have a deal going on right now. Same thing, localized treatment. It's an attached unit. Very, very difficult to get everyone on board, right, for fumigation. It's just too much coordinating for a realistic approach. And you're right, homeowners associations will gather, give you notice, hey, 6 months out, 12 months out, we're actually going to vacate everyone for more uniform fumigation of the whole complex or whole group of units there, right? And at many times, not all times, lots of times, those costs can be covered by the HOA, of course. if the HOA guidelines say that they cover those items. Other times it will be up to the unit owner. And I want to say a lot of people balk at it, right? Prospective buyers are like, well, I don't feel comfortable with that. And what are your thoughts? I mean, and again, just like the word Jamie used, which is a perfect word for it, I think control. Right, we've controlled the environment in that space. Again, you can't go behind the walls. You can't see what's there until you can do an actual fumigation. So the peace of mind is you're having control. Now, the group fumigation, that can happen down the time. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. That's just part of being a homeowner, right? It's part of being a property owner. You may not get it up front, but just know that you're going to have to make that investment down the road. Just like post-transaction, are you going to have to pay a landscaper to mow your lawn and do it? Sure, absolutely. But are you going to hold a seller accountable for, post-transaction, all that maintenance? No, because you're a homeowner. Just like you got to clean your gutter, just like you do everything else, you're going to have to maintain it. So if you're out there looking for a condo, townhome inventory where it's attached, don't be heartbroken or disgruntled over the fact that, hey, you're going to get a localized treatment. Eventually, you will be able to organize some sort of structured, all-around fumigation.
Absolutely.
Nail in the head.
And most HOAs understand that 10 to 20 years you're fumigating, and a lot of times they allocate that timing.
Sure, exactly. And you should be investigating a homeowner's side topic, but it's super important, making sure they have the reserves in the homeowner association to cover repairs like roofs and fumigations and pest work and stuff like that the HOA should be covering. So that's your due diligence process before even getting under contract on one. But a huge point, because this is a sticky topic that we come across a lot. I thought a great video topic, and it's awesome. But what else we've got there? Is there anything else that's a hot button right now?
Understanding your Section 1, Section 2s, and knowing the importance of the two. A lot of companies offer notes in lieu of a Section 2,
Gotcha.
Because Section 2 items can raise a red flag, especially VA and FHA. Case in point is a window and a shower is a note. On a VA loan, if you put that or buy on that, they are questioning why we're putting that in there. What's the potential moisture problem? Is there a problem right now?
Got it.
So those type of things, we kind of have to watch what we're putting in there to kind of stop those red flags.
Sure.
But the Section 2s, just understand that those are deemed likely to cause a problem if they're not corrected. The Section 1s are problems now that need to be addressed.
Absolutely.
And if you're looking for that Section 1 clearance, no, that's got to be done. If it's a Section 1, Section 2, yes, those Section 2s have to be done, but knowing that those are going to cause a problem down the road, it doesn't hurt to get them done anyways. And just know to get your inspection done every 5 years.
Common maintenance, absolutely. Regular maintenance on that. One good point, and you mentioned, you said it a few times, I understand what it is. Expand on what you mean by note per se in their report.
So in a report, we can put notes in there, like for example, there's water stains on the ceiling. We know that the roof's been replaced in the last 10 years. The stain's not active, so we can note, hey, an old water stain's there. We put it under Section 2, the lender, the real estate agent, whoever else is involved sees that as a potential problem. Now you're going to have to get a roofer out there.
Correct.
Now you're going to have to get a certification. Now you have to spend these extra money. Now if it's a note, everybody sees it, then they can start explaining. The seller can say, well, we had it replaced 10 years ago. That was an old one. We haven't painted over. It becomes more, it's disclosed more of that property. They can talk about it. That everybody can talk about it without it being a sticky point.
Exactly.
Section 2 would be like faulty grade. So why is that a Section 2 and not a note? Because that can cause problems. Subterranean termites can come up.
Sure.
Moisture is held.
Sure.
Those type of things, that can lead to a problem. A note is more or less, the problem's been resolved. We're still seeing the effects of what that problem is.
Absolutely.
Does that kind of make sense?
100%. And I want to expand on that for folks at home that read those reports, so they know what they're reading and why you're classifying things a certain way. And what is something funky that gets classified under Section 2 and you're like, why is this a Section 2 item? What are some oddball things that you see on there that may not, sometimes maybe they lead to an issue, maybe they don't, or there are items that you see that are like, we put it in class Section 2, but it's kind of funky. Like, what do we got there?
The biggest thing are water stains and then your inaccessible areas. So, for example, water stains in a ceiling, we see it there. If they're dry, again, the roof's been replaced, note it. If it's something that has been active, it looks wet, it still is wet, well, that's going to become a Section 2 because it's actively a problem.
Yeah.
It hasn't caused any fungus damage or anything to become a Section 1 yet. So, Another one would be a garage is inaccessible due to storage. If I can see around a majority of it, we're going to note that there's a lot of storage in there, because when you start moving boxes, you may find something. But if we put it as a sectioned further inspection item, now a company has to come back and re-inspect that garage once it's completed out, and possibly another fee.
Gotcha.
Another report stating the fact, and then we've got to pay for that report to go out. And then if there's more findings, we're looking at more money coming involved, because we come in and we said, hey, there's $6,000 worth of damage. Now we're coming in after that garage has been pulled out with everything there. We find some more subs, and we got another $1,200. We weren't allocated for that amount of money.
Yeah.
So with the note, everybody can kind of come back and forth and go, okay, yes, I do want that done, or no, it's not a big deal. It becomes more negotiation. When it's in a section, you're going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the lender may come in and say, I have to have that done before I give you the money for that house.
Very, very true.
So
very true.
That's kind of the difference. What it does is it gives a little more option on the report and for the clients to negotiate. It puts the pest control company sometimes at a little more risk, because if it doesn't get done, they find termites and they say, well, how come? I've got it in the note. Then they can kind of, well, wasn't this finding or that finding? But it's there documented. So that's where it can get dicey. We just have to explain ourselves a little more. And the communication is the biggest thing as far as that goes.
100%. Creating transparency. So a lot of these note items can get addressed through a seller's general disclosure process, which they're going to go through anyways. Because, if you have a water stain on the ceiling, you should probably disclose what that was if it was addressed or not addressed.
Yeah.
If you want to avoid mediation or, staying out of court, stuff like that. So super important.
Yeah, and our reports are mainly there to protect the real estate agent and the customer, and then the pest control company themselves. The pest control company is married to that property for as long as they put the guarantee on. Fumigation will do 3 to 5. If I'm 5 years, I'm married to that property for 5 years.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, real quickly, your inspections are not guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's a tail light warranty. I can come back tomorrow and find more, and there's nothing you can do until I say that place is free and clear. You find something more, now that company or myself is on the hook for those problems.
Yeah.
So
go rediscover them, address them.
Yes.
Exactly. So awesome. This is all good stuff, guys. I've really wrapped my mind around some sticky items that folks want clarity on. General questions. So we're going to be blasting this video everywhere, so we can satisfy your questions there, right?
Yeah.
But Jamie, brother, awesome. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Check this guy out. You guys have more questions, you need an inspection, you need anything at all, give them a holler. They'll take care of you. But guys, again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.